Good morning. Welcome, everyone. Good morning. Herzlich willkommen, guten Morgen, alle, to the Acronis Summit World Tour, coming to you this year, right now, from worldwide headquarters in Schaffhausen. Hands together. Come on, a little energy. There we go. All right, lovely. Now this, as many of you may know, this is the second stop on a four-part series of summits that began in Miami, which will then continue to Dubai and eventually finish in Singapore. And I think Japan is also in there coming up next month. All right, my name is Ana Maria Montero, and it is my great pleasure to be back here at Acronis with all of you this year, and so good to see everybody in person again after so long. Also wonderful. And thank you for making that extra effort to get here. We know there was testing involved and all kinds of things and travel. So again, we really appreciate that you take the time and the effort to come and join us today. Now, for those of you who have purchased an event, a ticket to this event, a very special thank you, because every penny and every euro goes to support the Acronis Cyber Foundation and their educational initiatives around the world. Now, if you want to know more about the Cyber Foundation, please visit them at the booth. They are here in the expo area also throughout the day. Now, we'd like to welcome especially our viewers who are joining us online via our YouTube stream. Hello. We wish that you could be here in the room with us, but regardless, we do appreciate that you are joining us from your home or from wherever that may be. Lastly, just a quick reminder that this is a social event, so share, post, talk about us on all of your favorite social media channels. Just remember to add that hashtag Acronis CyberFit Summit. All right, let's get started. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my great honor and pleasure to introduce our first speaker of the day, Mr. Dino Tamagni. Herr Tamagni is a member of the Schaffhausen Government Council and the head of its Department of Economics and Justice. He is a business economist with a specialization in finance from the University of Applied Sciences and Business Administration in Zurich. And previously, he served as the president of the Business Audit Commission of the Canton of Schaffhausen and a member of the PKSH Audit Committee. So without further ado, Herr Tamagni, the stage is yours.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. Sergey Billusov, Patrick Pulvermueller, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the canton and the government of Schaffhausen, I would like to welcome you to this year's Acronis Cyber Summit here in Schaffhausen. I feel proud that Acronis has made its home here. Once upon a time, a songwriter from Schaffhausen wrote a musical ode to the city. They said, even if your name never appears on the globe of the world, you're still a great place to live and enjoy life. Fast forward to today, and you will, in fact, find us on the same stage as world-famous cities such as Miami, Dubai, and Singapore. And there are very good reasons why that change has happened. The Schaffhausen area isn't just a place where you can live and enjoy life. It is an extremely attractive location for business. It wasn't due to good luck or coincidence that Acronis, and I'm delighted to say, the prospering SIT set up home right on the banks of the River Rhine in Schaffhausen. It was the result of a process of constant adjustment and of the canton to reflect global changes. As recently as 30 years ago, the canton of Schaffhausen was a classic industrial location. As a result of the manufacturing crisis of the 1990s, the canton had to reinvent itself. Heavy industry, which dominated the area previously, has now disappeared. High-tech business pharma companies, and specialized firms in the field of material science now make up the economic landscape of Schaffhausen. Thanks to a proactive economic development strategy, affordable costs, proximity and international airport on the exceptional quality of life which people enjoy here, more than 1,600 businesses have moved to our canton since the end of the 1990s. The list includes multiple international corporations which have established headquarters operations here, such as Citrix, Garmin, and of course, Acronis. These international companies have created jobs, have connected Schaffhausen as a business location with other global centers, have brought new citizens from all corners of the world to the canton of Schaffhausen, and have made significant contribution to the success of the Schaffhausen economic area. There's more. Business like Acronis symbolize the many companies based in Schaffhausen which deal with the opportunities and risk of digitalization, and why they are a perfect match to the canton of Schaffhausen. Because it's our ambition to become the leading testbed region for new technologies and the interface of industries and digitalization. For example, we were the first canton in Switzerland to introduce a digital identity for citizens so that they could easily access local government services digitally. For example, we were the first place in the world to integrate a driverless bus into the traffic management system of our public transport network. Next year, we are a new project using a driverless vehicle. We are set to push the technological boundaries even further. At an airfield in Schmerlat, just a few minutes drive from here, you will find drone companies testing their products. And just a stone throw from here, you will find farming robot, which is demonstrating what resource-friendly agriculture of the future may look like. All of these technologies and services are strongly dependent on a digital solution. As such, they are potential targets for cyber attacks. Cybersecurity is therefore of immense importance, and with Acronis in our midst, we know there is a global business whose solutions are helping to ensure that we can pursue technological transition with more peace of mind. Against the backup, I wish you an exciting Acronis Cyber Summit 2021 here in Schaffhausen. I would like to thank Sergey Beloussov, Patrick Pulvermueller, and the entire Acronis team for their work to ensure our digital security, and to wish you every success in Schaffhausen and far beyond. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Herr Tamani. All right, and now to continue to get us in the right mood, the right mindset, I'd like to share a little summit video with you. Gentlemen, let's roll it.
The digital world is full of challenges. So far this year, phishing emails increased 62%. 94% of malware was delivered by email. 4 out of 5 organizations experienced a cybersecurity breach that started in their supply chain. The average cost of those breaches is now $3.56 million. Keeping clients protected requires a holistic approach that covers people, training clients and their end users to not open the door to attacks, and stopping unhappy employees from doing damage. Processes, finding vulnerabilities before breaches occur, patching systems before they're exploited, and automating tasks so you can focus on more value-add efforts. Technology. Stopping threats quickly with cutting-edge machine intelligence and behavioral heuristics. Deploying cybersecurity that's a recognized leader. With best-of-breed data protection built in. Integrating those capabilities delivers unique benefits. Backups are protected against cyber attacks. Patches become fail-safe. Recovery is automatic following an incident. Management is streamlined in one console. A cyber protection strategy lowers your risks and improves your opportunities for more profit. Acronis is committed to connecting you with strategies, solutions, and support to grow your business. Acronis CyberFit Summit World Tour 2021. Lead the way with cyber protection. Acronis.com.
All right, and with that, I'd now like to extend a very warm welcome to Acronis founder and Chief Research Officer, Serguei Beloussov.
Hello, everybody. I just want to remind everybody how it was that I came to run Acronis being a CEO and why new CEO coming in. So, there is a common misconception that the founder came back to run Acronis. In reality, I never was running Acronis before 2013, and when in 2013 I came to run Acronis from the first product, which was shipped in 2001, which was Acronis True Image, to the present state, there was a lot of things happening. And back in 2013, the company wasn't doing super well. It was only shipping backup. It was only shipping it on-premise. It was mostly imaging backup. It was mostly focused on SMB. In fact, it was having a lot of financial difficulties, legal difficulties. It was, in fact, losing money, and it was in debt, and it was shrinking. And so it wasn't an easy situation, and I just remember how it happened for me. I was driven in by my driver to the airport in Moscow, and my partner, who was at that time chairman of Acronis, who is still second largest shareholder, called me and said, like, where are you? And I said, like, yeah, I'm in the car. I'm going to the airport. And he told me, okay, fine. So where are you going? I said, I'm going to London and then to Singapore. In London, I'm meeting one of my daughters, and in Singapore, another my daughter. I'm Singaporean. And he's like, okay, very good. So you're closer to Boston. So between me and you, somebody has to go and be a CEO of Acronis. And since you're closer to Boston, because you're already on the way to the airport, you will be a CEO. And so right around May 1st, 2013, instead of flying to Singapore, I arrived to be a CEO of Acronis. This is after right around 6 years of not being involved with Acronis at all. So I was very focused on parallels, and then I was focused on setting up our venture fund, Runa Capital. And I found all this stuff which was written on the left. And so very quickly we came up with a cloud strategy and service provider focus. Not surprisingly to that, because that's what I knew. Parallels was always perceived to be Parallels desktop, but in reality, 80% of Parallels business was business to service providers. In case of Parallels, it was hosting service providers, companies like GoDaddy and 1&1. And hence, not surprisingly, here I have a CEO of 1&1, who's now CEO of OpenExchange, Andreas Gauger, and new CEO of Acronis is Patrick Pulvermueller, who was at that time CEO of Hostura, but soon president of GoDaddy. So very quickly, we shipped a hybrid cloud backup for service providers in 2014, but the company was in big turmoil. And because of the turmoil, the general perception inside the company was like, okay, this guy, he is a founder, so he came in, he fires everybody, makes the company profitable, and sells it in 6 to 12 months, so we're all out of jobs, and we are all not necessary. And this continued. I think at that time I had literally every twice a week we had a town hall for the whole company, and I keep repeating what we're going to do, but it wasn't sinking in because dramatically different from what was done before. And because of that, I deal all these crazy things. So I tried to explain that I'm not leaving, so I made a tattoo. Actually, here, literally, I was driving from this office to my hotel in Zurich, and I was very much frustrated that, nobody is believing me that we're going to do well. And I've stopped in some random tattoo parlor and gave them the logo. Well, I sent them the logo by email from already the parlor. Said, give me a tattoo. And honestly, I always wanted to have a tattoo. I mean, I was always a geeky kid in school, doing mathematics Olympiads, physics Olympiads, programming Olympiads. But the big kids, they all had tattoos, and I never had a tattoo. And here I had the opportunity, and then I made the photo and sent it to the whole company. Like, I'm not leaving. Look, I have it. I still have it here. And I made all my cars and yacht and everything Acronis. So I always wear the shirt. Soon I will probably stop wearing it as much. I have to, because Patrick now has to wear it instead of me. And everything else Acronis. And eventually this sank in. Then the other point was when we hired Nick, who is our chief development officer, who came from one of the largest in the world security company. And when you hire somebody from security, you have to understand that our space, cyber protection is 50% security, 50% everything else, data protection, archiving, and so on. And this 50% security is super passionate people. And so when you hire somebody like this, he says, OK, I'm going to manage your backup and disaster recovery solution for service providers. But very quickly, this solution suddenly becomes an antivirus. Right? So it becomes an antivirus on the fly. And so in 2013, for the first time, after several years of development, we shipped first security piece of Acronis, which was active protection. And then we hired Oleg Melikov, who is our chief technology officer and chief product officer, and he comes from Odin. When you hire Oleg, everything very quickly becomes a platform. So Odin is a platform for service providers, and so that's how we became Acronis Cyber Platform. And finally, when we were hesitant about it, right? If you think about it, if you think about Acronis heritage, it all comes from backup. And so we were hesitant to sort of completely convert into security. But with especially COVID, we made the decision that there is now hesitation necessary. With COVID, what happened, we really realized that prevention, detection, response, recovery, and forensic is what you need to do in the physical world, but also in the cyber world to be safe, accessible, secure, authentic, and private. And so we completely switched to cyber protection. And so now we don't have backup anymore. We just have cyber protection. Cyber protection has a module for backup, but that's just one of the capabilities. And so with that, we are currently doing much better. And we are actually the leader in cyber protection. We're growing very fast. We have really, believe it or not, the best-in-class technology for your workloads to be protected, if it's desktops, if it's virtual machines, if it's physical servers. And we definitely have by far the best solution for service providers to both protect the clients, but more importantly, to be productive and to be profitable and to be growing and not to have too much trouble. And so with that, we decided to switch to a new management, to a new CEO. And so just one thing which was very important is that when I came to run the company was not doing super well for a while. So probably for about, from 2008 to right around 2012, it was a little bit stall. And then 2012 was a very difficult year where the new management tried to implement a strategy which was really failed strategy. And so it was in trouble after late 2011 and 2012. And so it was necessary to transform the company. And what we really wanted to do is to implement entrepreneurial culture. I have to tell you that when I actually was involved with any company before Acronis, and it was always a company which I built from scratch. And it's quite different to take over a company with 700 people, which is not doing super well, and to build a company from scratch in technology. And so slowly we came up with this entrepreneurial tenets: ambition, initiative, empathy, alert, responsive, details, decisions, never give up, frequency, passion, and care, which became a tenets of Acronis entrepreneurial culture, which was a culture of big change. We really converted without losing any of our functionality in any of our customers and any of our partners from being very legacy to being very much ahead of everybody. And it's important when you chose a new CEO that, that there will be a change in culture, but it will be an evolutional change. So it will be, we believe, I believe, these tenets. In fact, Patrick at some point in the near future will determine his tenets. But we're already a larger company. We're already more stable company. And so I believe the good tenants will be some of the tenants from the left, but also pragmatism, perfection. Pragmatism and perfection are very important because at this point it's not just about ambition. Ambition is important, but it is also about making sure that you, our partners today, are successful. And that means that we need to be pragmatic of what we can and cannot do, and we need to also be perfect, delivering very high level of service and quality while staying ambitious, responsive, detail-oriented, caring, never give up, keeping empathy, maybe some more things. And so with that, I just want to explain why and how we choose Patrick. It's very, very easy. First of all, he's native-born service provider. So he started with, in a technical job with Host Europe when it was very, very small company, 4-people company, and basically sold it for $1.8 billion to GoDaddy. So went through whole way of being, system administrator and support engineer to being a second in command, to being a first in command, and then to successfully selling the business many orders of magnitude more than originally expected to GoDaddy. So really knows how to scale and grow. In addition to that, he is not just a corporate executive. He knows technology deeply, and he knows service providers deeply. He knows service provider technology very deeply. He understands product management at large. If you think a company like GoDaddy, with, I believe, last I looked, around $4 billion in revenue, it's a company with very, very complex product set. So it's a lot of different products, and you need to be very pragmatic on how you manage the product to keep your clients and partners happy while keep growth. And this is very important for us today. So yes, we're going to launch new products, but a lot of the products which you are going to sell, vast majority is already shipping today. Let's say in 5 years, 75% of our products, 75% of our revenue will come out of the products which are to some extent available today. And so you have to pragmatically manage the current product portfolio. And finally, he was an officer in a public listed company, which is very important for our next stage. I'm not committing that we will be a public company. That is a possibility, but it has to be a real possibility, and we have that possibility with Patrick. That's also good for you, because the more stable we are, the better we are as a partner for you. With that, I want to invite to stage Patrick.
Thank you. Okay, I was not expecting such a colorful introduction, but thank you for that. And I'm eager to see how often I will see that picture on Twitter in the next hour or so. Hopefully you show both pictures, mine and Sergei's picture, please. It's an honor to be here. Hallo und willkommen. I'm really excited to speak to all of you today. I had the honor this morning to speak at the Women in Tech already, where I shared a bit of my personal background, and I think it's very important for everyone in this room, everyone on YouTube, and everyone listening in the adjacent rooms to hear a bit about my professional background, because over the coming years, we are going to build a relationship. And I'm really looking forward to building a strong relationship for many, many years to come. As Sergey already alluded at, I am from the service provider industry. I've been in the service provider industry for more than 22 years. And when I think back to that time, frankly, I didn't have to worry about cyber threats, because at that point in time, I had to worry about other things like hardware failures or broken devices. So it was always good at that point in time to also have a copy of your data, applications, or systems readily available just in case. And that's actually how I got to know Acronis. I used at that point in time TrueImage. I was a big fan of that software. It figuratively saved my life at least twice when things went terribly wrong during an upgrade. And I was, thanks to Acronis, able to play the data back on time so that everyone could work. I need to be careful now what I'm saying next, because many previous customers are sitting in this room and partners from my previous role, but none of my partners and customers ever lost 1 minute of productivity, at least during the day, and during most of the day. But what I know, no one ever lost one bit of data, which I'm very proud of, because it was sometimes very challenging. So fast forward 20 years later, obviously the world has changed quite significantly. I mean, let's just look at the last 2 years. We have seen an increase in cybercrime by over 300%, and Candid will later talk more about this. And the attacks are coming from every angle, and the pace is only increasing. But there are two things which have not changed. One, frankly, is my passion to serve you all best and to frankly also listen to you what you need to be successful. And this is something you can count on. My email address is easy to find out. Use that channel because I want to talk to you. I want to listen and hear from you how I can make your life better and easier by serving your customers. And second, what has not changed is frankly Acronis' passion to really protect all the data, all the application, and all the systems out there for the SMB customers and the enterprise customers around the world against today's threats, but also frankly against tomorrow's threats, which nowadays is truly all the cyber threats. And this is really two things which have not changed. And I promise you I will continue on that path. And in addition to this, I will make sure we will continue to invest in support, in development, and in our cloud capabilities to serve all of your SMB global end customers and your enterprise end customers, no matter where they are around the world. It just does not matter where, we will be there for them. And I'll talk more about this later in my strategy speech. But this empowering of you is exactly what I call the cyber protection with the power of you, the service providers, you, our partners. I'm looking forward to speaking much more about what is going to come. But first, let me now introduce you to Candid, our VP of Cyber Protection Research. Awesome guy, honestly. The most knowledgeable person. Yeah, that was the American in me from the GoDaddy time. Awesome author, holder of many patents, a true geek, as we need him. Candid, over to you.
Thank you, Patrick, for that nice introduction, and welcome everyone. Grüezi miteinander for the Swiss people in the room. It's my pleasure to be here talking to you, because I actually grew up 2 minutes from here in Uwiesen, so close to Schaffhausen. So for me, it's always home. I mean, I work at home now as well during the pandemic, but it still feels like at home, right? And for those who know me, they know I'm passionate about cybersecurity. And yes, as Sergey said, it kind of is, even more than 50% is about cybersecurity, and then it's the holistic cyber protection approach, which is even more important. And of course, there's nearly no day that goes by where there's not a big cyber incident somewhere in the world. You might remember just 2 weeks back that MediaMarkt Saturn Group have been attacked by Hive ransomware group. They had to shut down a lot of their actual cash registers, so no more credit cards, no more gift vouchers, which is pretty bad, right? Turning that many people are already shopping for Christmas gifts. So I started to get kind of 3 examples here which are quite important, which probably highlight a little bit of what's going on. But of course, I could be talking for ages, and there are some other sessions later on today if you want to go more into details. So the first example you hopefully have heard of, which is the attack against Kaseya VSA, which then was used to distribute the Revile ransomware. The attackers managed, just at the beginning of the long Independence weekend in the US, to misuse or abuse a zero-day vulnerability in the Kaseya VSA. It's kind of a deployment service tool for lots of service providers. So they used this vulnerability to hack into it and then distribute their own malicious update. They did a few interesting tricks. They signed it with a stolen digital certificate. They used an old kind of Windows Defender, and they also kind of degraded the whole security of Microsoft itself, which resulted in about 60 service providers getting compromised, and down the line, about 1,500 of their customers getting fully encrypted. At the beginning, it was $70 million in ransom. It then got negotiated down to 50, and in the end, they didn't pay it. They still got a key afterwards, but after 2 weeks. And it's one of those things that we see more and more now, that attackers are going after MSPs. And the good news is, of course, Acronis Cyber Protect blocked this attack out of the box, without any updates needed, without any configuration needed, so our customers were protected from the start. The second example is, of course, with all those exposed services. Now working from home, many companies had to open up their VPN, their RDP, because people are everywhere, but they still want to work. But unfortunately, not every one of them keeps the software updated. There have already been 16,000 vulnerabilities reported this year, and the numbers are growing up. Which of course means, at the beginning of the year, there were 4 zero-day vulnerabilities, so no patch available, in the Microsoft Exchange. Many companies didn't even know that they had a Microsoft Exchange server facing the internet. They just found out after it had been compromised. Because 250,000 of those servers have been compromised, and many of those led to complete breaches of the companies. Again, Acronis makes it easy for you to keep Microsoft and third-party applications up to date, so you don't have to worry about this. And then, of course, the last example, the CompuCom MSP, which got compromised, again, because attackers are more and more facing that they can actually multiply their, let's say, profits, in quotes, if they go through service providers and then attack the end customers. So with CompuCom, they expect about 8 million loss in terms of revenue, but also 20 million for cleanup costs, because they didn't really know kind of what was all compromised. Some of the data had to be restored, so it's a lot of effort has been done. And it started all with some password credentials that have been leaked. So of course, email, phishing emails is still very common and has to be protected. And again, Acronis has a solution that can help you with this so that you don't have to worry. And we had a discussion yesterday night about kind of, Kenneth, I mean, you're always talking about those nightmare stories, right? How do you sleep at night? And a friend of mine used to answer those questions with, I sleep like a baby, meaning I sleep for 3 hours and then wake up screaming for 2 hours and repeat then again. But honestly, heart to my heart, I can say I sleep well because I trust in our technology. I know that our technology will save you on those multiple levels so you don't have to worry. And I think that's exactly what we need, right? Because the numbers are, of course, big. We blocked about 2.5 million URLs on the endpoint. So that's after they went through all the emails, securities, and everything. People still click on 2.5 million URLs. So we prevent them from going to phishing websites or malicious websites. 37% of all the workloads that we protect had at least one malware attack blocked this year. So that shows it is definitely necessary. Don't make the mistake and think, oh, why would they attack me, right? There's nothing to be gained in my company. There absolutely is. There is always something of interest for the attackers, even if it's just to attack your customers, right? Keep that in mind. And of course, yes, how do we do it? Well, on multiple levels, and backup still is part of it. So we had 85 million backups being created by our customers, by you as a partner, for the September month alone. So there's lots of things, of course, that we can do. And we should do it because, well, attackers are expanding as well. On any given day at the moment, we see 500,000 new malware samples being created. 500,000 new viruses every day. That's kind of an avalanche coming your way, right? And I hope you never experienced that, but it's really hard to stand against an avalanche if you're not prepared. So better build up your protection level. Make sure that you protect yourself and all your customers as well. And yes, they are expanding to Mac and Linux as well. Last year, we saw an increase of over 1,100% on Mac malware being created in the wild. So don't think, oh, it's only Windows system, right? I'm fine on my Mac. I mean, yes, there are a lot less malware being seen there, but it still happens. So we at Acronis saw, for example, an increase of 27% of Mac threats being blocked in September and 31% on Linux. And that's specifically, of course, in the cloud, in containers, in the hosting environment, right? So keep in mind that you have to have that holistic approach around everything to protect yourself, protect your customers, and then hopefully with that, you can sleep well and kind of will be sure that you will kind of not waking up every 3 hours screaming, but making sure that you're actually well protected. And if you want to know more, of course, find me in one of the sessions later on. I'm happy, passionate to talk about cybersecurity, but I think it's good enough, so let's move on and give it back to Patrick. Thank you.
Thank you, Candid. I told you, awesome guy, didn't I? I'm always impressed by all the numbers he has top of his mind. Next, I would like to introduce you to Rick, who is a true expert in MSP, 15 years of experience, who joined Acronis this year. Rick, over to you. It's your stage.
Thank you all for being here, whether it's on the live stream or physically with us in Schaffhausen. It's great to be here. Whereas Candid calls this area his home, I live at the other end of the River Rhine in the Netherlands. And being here also reminds me that, this water is not just a stream of water. It's also providing or enabling a supply chain across a large part of Europe, providing massive opportunity. And it's a good parallel with what we're here for today, talking about a very particular opportunity for a very particular supply chain. The opportunity of cyber protection for managed services providers to end customers. With that, I have been asked today to talk to you about the opportunities that we have already created for you in 2021. After this, I'll be back and I'll tell you more about what we're going to do next in 2022 and beyond. Our vision at Acronis is that of one-stop cyber protection, providing you with the ability to manage, to protect, and to recover your customer environments in the fastest possible way. We do that with a single product across many different workloads. We're now at plus 30 workload types, and we'll grow that to over 100 workloads. We also do that in a single console. And in that respect, we're not only looking at the product in order to manage your customers, to manage your services, but also to get all of the interaction centralized into one platform. And with that, I mean all the things you expect from a partner portal, support, marketing center, all of those things combined into one place to centralize your interactions. Indeed, we're very big here at Acronis on efficiency and productivity of your people, your technicians. We enable that through constantly innovating our own product, making it easier to manage, building those efficiencies, looking where you have too many clicks, spend much time. We also do that by integrating into the tools that you already love and trust today. One great example of that is the platinum sponsor we have here today, Jamf, for building cyber protection into Apple management. We also have an extensible platform, which is also about integrations. But now it's not about integrating into other tools, but it's integrating tools onto our platform, extending the value for your customers. In order to build this one product strategy, Acronis Cyber Protect Cloud, we went through a lot of change in product, but also in licensing. We have one product for all of your essential protection, but you can add to that, not at the level of an MSP, not even at the level of a customer, but at the level of every individual workload that needs it, a number of advanced packs. We have advanced backup, advanced disaster recovery, advanced management, advanced security and advanced email security, as well as advanced file sync and share. We've not been sitting still. We've been adding workloads constantly. A great example of that is the recent addition of MySQL and MariaDB servers. One backup, enabling you to recover granularly an entire workload, one database, couple of databases, one table, few tables, granular recovery, application consistent protection. We've also recently released our integration with VMware Cloud Director. A lot of you will still know it as vCloud. I always have a lot of trouble to adjust to the new names. VMware vCloud is in and of itself, just like Acronis CyberProtect Cloud, a multi-tenant offering. So what we've done is map our technology and our tenant structure, our hierarchy, if you will, with theirs. So that your customers, or you, sorry, if you imagine you're going to build a hybrid cloud environment for your customers, that you can, with VMware Cloud Director, that you can plug the data protection, cyber protection, into there natively, into your console, but also into the hierarchy, the level of your customers, providing them with self-service. And you, of course, as a partner, get to determine who gets that level of access and what that level of access entails. We've also made changes in our licensing. For instance, in Microsoft 365. You now get Microsoft 365 with a single license across all of the parts that make up Microsoft 365 that we can protect. That is your email, your OneDrive, your SharePoint sites, and your Teams. It comes with unlimited storage, no matter what storage needs you have, which is heavily determined, of course, by the retention, which you also get to decide yourself. So you never have to worry about any additional cost. You just know it's predictable. This is the seat that I need to protect. This is the price I pay for it. Backup for email is one thing, but now we need to cyber protect email, which also means we need to have the cybersecurity element to it. This is what we've introduced this year with the Advanced Pack, Advanced Email Security, providing anti-malware protection, protection against phishing, business compromises, an ability to protect all of your email, be it Office 365 or Microsoft 365 nowadays, or good old on-premise Exchange, be it Open Exchange, or even Google Workplaces. One of the most important things for our customers, for your customers, is the ability to recover quickly in the event of a disaster. That disaster could be by human error, it could also be malicious intent, or it could be a natural catastrophe. Acronis has introduced advanced disaster recovery, enabling you to recover your customer workloads to the Acronis Cyber Data Center, to our cloud, by the flip of a switch. Now, moving data is not the most difficult part of disaster recovery. The actual difficult part of disaster recovery is orchestration and networking. You can move workloads over to the cloud, you can start them up there, but how do you manage that process? And how do you get those servers back? With a wizard-like interface, we make it very easy for you to manage that process for your customers. And we provide you with advanced networking options. L3 IPsec. Even the most complex environments can be connected to the Acronis cloud. Now, one of the issues that a lot of service providers like yourselves are dealing with is that cyber protection can be very invisible. In fact, it should be invisible because that's a good thing, then nothing happens. But it also makes it difficult to demonstrate the value that you're delivering every day. So Acronis has provided now enterprise reports, allowing you to show to your customers every day, not just when there is an attack happened and it may be even hitting the front pages, but every day or every month, show them what you're doing on backup, disaster recovery, malware protection, vulnerabilities and patches, data loss prevention, cyber files, cyber notary, all of the things that are relevant for them to know that are protected. And as mentioned, efficiency and productivity of your people is really important for us. And we've listened to you. You've told us, guys, Acronis, We spend way too much time on updating agents across all of our customers. It doesn't scale. It costs too much, right? So we've listened and we fixed it. We've now introduced this year complete automation in the maintenance windows that you need. Maintenance windows that you need, the updates of Acronis agents across all of your customers. Another complaint, if you will, another ask was how can we manage cyber protection across tenants more efficiently? We spend too much clicks going from one tenant to the other to configure something, to check upon some alerts. So we've made it really easy to go and switch between your tenants. And we're not done there, right? Because for a whole lot of things, maybe you shouldn't be switching between tenants in the first place. Maybe you want to manage things across multiple customers all at the same time. That's what we're going to do next. I'm going to talk about this a little bit more in my next session about the roadmap, but we're going to help you to apply protection plans and map alerts, for instance, across your multiple customers. Then we have self-protection. It's important for us to enable you to protect yourself and protect your customers, but we also need to protect the backups. For instance, with immutable storage. This is a really big one, a really big ask and a really popular new solution. Backups can be deleted accidentally or with malicious intent by actual people doing it or by anti-malware or other attacks. So from now on, if a backup is deleted, it's not actually deleted. It's only marked deleted, and you'll be able to get it back simply through the management console. Then we have integrations. We started with a couple of integrations, RMM integrations, such as ConnectWise Automate, PSA, like Data Autotask. But we've gone much, much further. We have now, I think, over 10 RMM integrations. We cover pretty much 85, 90% of the RMMs that you use today. We've also integrated in over 6 PSA solutions. And we have many, many cloud service automation platforms that power your cloud marketplaces, providing you with the most efficient solutions to provision, deploy, manage, monitor, ticket, and bill your customers. And now to video.
I was hiding in the back, in the black, and my clicker is working now. Perfect. So let's talk about what's going to come next. Thank you, Rick, for showing us what we have delivered this year and all the great features, but let's talk a bit more about, okay, what does it actually mean for you going forward, and what should you expect? For any strategy, you just need to set the scene to make sure that you are really within the right constraints. And as such, I would like to share you my perspective. When I look at the world, I see an ongoing digitalization and a pressure on SMBs to also digitalize no matter where they are around the world. And this, frankly, in my opinion, is a very good thing, because through digitalization, you will become more sustainable. You will become more economical. And that is really what we all strive for. At least I do. And on the other hand, through the digitalization, you see more and more threats attacking you, and you see more and more parts of your business being under threat, because you don't have a solution to just write something on the paper and give it to the next person. If the email is offline, it just doesn't work anymore, especially if you sit remote. How should that work? So this additional threat and this additional complexity worries the SMBs, especially the SMBs, because they don't know how to handle it. And in addition to this, they have no idea how to win or even retain the critical talent to make this work. So they are more and more looking at you, the service providers, for guidance, for help on how to actually become more digitized, how to actually stay safe from a digital perspective, and how to cover. So this is the frame within I see the future for Acronis. And just one number, when I look at the spend, IT spend of SMBs through the service provider channel, that part grows about 4x the overall IT spend of the whole market. And this is already where you see that change in dynamic. So let's talk about Acronis. We offer you the best-in-class localization. There's no other company which offers you so many variances of languages to really help your admins and help your customers to be served in the local language. And especially when you think about the sysadmins, it's very important that they feel comfortable, that it's easy to configure, it's easy to use, and language is one element of it. 26 different languages are being offered today by us. When we look to the right, we offer solutions which are tailored to you, the service providers. You saw the list of integration we have been doing in the past, and you saw the list of all the new integrations we did just this year. Why is that important? Because through the integrations, we make it even easier for you to consume our services. We want to reduce the barriers, and that's why we tailor it towards you, the service providers. And by combining all the different features into one holistic solution, our Cyber Protect Cloud, we do achieve a significant improvement from a TCO perspective, total cost of ownership, compared to other solutions in the market. Why is that the case? Very simple. If you buy 3, 4, 5 different solutions, combine them into one, you have feature overlap, and you have to pay for that. With us, by combining them, you don't have that downside. And second, your sysadmins, your administrators, or your DevOps, whoever they might be, however you might call them, they only have to learn the interface and the processes once, and they can use it for all the different use cases with all of the different customers, no matter where they are around the world. Which, if the clicker works, yes, here we go. Which leads me to the next topic, our global footprint. Just in the last 12 months, we added more than 14 different data centers to our global footprint. Why are we doing this? For 2 reasons. First, because we want to really provide the right level of data sovereignty and privacy, but we also want to provide far better performance. And this is exactly the reason why we're going to continue to invest in that part. I purposefully drew a map of the US here, because frankly in the US, in Europe, we are already very well positioned with over 21 data centers in Europe alone. So when I think about the DACH region, we have multiple data centers in Germany, France, Austria, Switzerland, of course, Liechtenstein. We just opened some data centers in Denmark, Finland. We cover pretty much the European area quite well, but we will still continue. And we do this to really provide you a truly global footprint anywhere around the world. And we want to provide you a clear performance boost. This last month, we started in the US by even going a step further, by going into the neighborhood, so that we truly are as close to the end users of our services as possible. And by everything we do, we always keep you, the partners, in mind. Perhaps in some examples, we integrate through all the hyperscalers so that you can really exchange data with us easily. We offer direct connection. We offer solutions for you and your end customers, no matter if frankly, the end customer is a one person sitting on some remote island enjoying the life there while working, or if it's a large data center, we cover all the different scenarios for you. If you need an office with 50 people, an office with 5,000 people, or a data center like one of the companies I worked for in the past, Acronis covers the whole range. And it would even support me if I would be able to sit on a nice island and enjoy the life there. Which leads me to the next topic, and somehow the slides are moving here, sorry. Which leads me to the next topic, what else we are going to offer. On the one hand, on the one hand, we have a tremendous academy. And this academy is very important because it helps you to be trained and to be really ahead of the curve. We did some analysis where we looked at our partners who participated in the academy and at partners who did not. And we saw an increase of revenue by the partners who participated by more than 103%. So please, if you have not participated yet, please do participate. It's worth the effort and it pays back much, much more to you, frankly. Second, I urge you to truly deploy our solution on all the workloads. And we are going to increase the amount of workloads in the coming days and weeks and months to come. But if you deploy them on all the workloads, you're truly protected against all the different threats Candid was previously talking about, and that gives you the ability to really sleep at night, not like a baby, but like grown-ups, in the right age, at the right age. So there's a very fine line I have to walk here with that metaphor. And finally, really use our advanced packs. They are great additions and they're continuously being improved with features at the same price to really give you the ability to actually go one step further and tailor the solution towards your customers' needs. Not every customer is equal. As much as we all are individuals, our customers are individuals. So let's make sure that we are really tailoring the solution to your end customers. These are my 3 asks to you. And with that, this is what I call cyber protection with the power of you. And I'm looking at Sergey, who is now going to talk about the very far future. Let me hand back to you, Sergey, and thank you so much for being here. Thanks, everyone.
So in my new role as a Chief Research Officer, I don't need to talk about anything which is happening now. I need to talk in what is happening in the future. And first, I will talk about the next several years, starting from the trends. So, one small short-term trend, we all know that there is a turmoil in global logistics, and there is a turmoil in the global supply chain, specifically turmoil in a global semiconductor industry. And that's a short-term trend which might affect you because it affects number of workloads. But let's talk about something more long-term. And this is the 5 trends I want to bring your attention to. I think one trend is edge computing. There is more and more smart devices on the edge, nearby to you, nearby to the customer. Global localization, even very small companies are becoming distributed. They have actually offices all over the world at the same time. Even more people are involved in IT, and so even more people who don't speak English or who don't speak any of the language of a headquarters are involved in IT. Even more countries are actually creating new regulations. Smart devices which are surrounding us, which are also needing to be managed, and they're part of our life, like, for example, this clicker apparently is a smart device, as we just learned. Machine intelligence, which is a short-term trend. In many cases, it's going to affect us, and huge competition for talent in general, and specifically for IT talent. So edge computing. So this is sort of an example of edge computing. This is a device which can do various things, harvesting and managing the harvest for agriculture workers. And definitely this device requires to be clever on the site and requires to have some other smart controller controlling multiple of these devices, which is effectively a server also there on the agriculture's feed. And so again, I don't have that much time today, so I'm going to go very quick, but there is this very simple idea. So first of all, there is a lot of data these devices are generating. The cameras are getting only better. The the clever brains of these devices are only getting cleverer, and the network, however, are not getting faster and definitely not getting more latency. Then there is many new locations and many new devices which are growing in each building, in each campus, in each city. There is clever devices which are both surrounding us and controlling these devices due to the network considerations. Then, of course, COVID and other pandemics drove people to think about how they can be completely self-sufficient in their office or in their home. Then, of course, now, more and more in the future, there are privacy considerations generated both by objective need for privacy, because it is a base for, for freedom, for example, but it's also because of geopolitical and battles, both on the strategic, sort of military and even economical side. And finally, it's important to consider that these devices have very different form of security. And it's important to actually remember that edge has to be secure. If its edge is not secure, that's a basis for the attack of the rest. Then global localization. So global localization, it's important to understand that it's, first of all, it's about control. So every state wants to control not only its citizens in a physical space, that has always happened, not only financial resources of the citizens, which is monetary controls, but also the data of the citizens. And that is coming first to every state, then to every part of the state, like a region, then eventually, potentially, like in places like in Switzerland, it is not just at Switzerland, it's also a canton, it's also a commune. And so I would not be surprised that 10 years from now, and maybe even sooner, many countries will implement some form of digital borders. Today, TCP/IP packets, they are completely international. Then again, global local enterprise is making it more difficult. If you think about it, in the past, we would have a large enterprise having a central IT organization somewhere in the United States most of the time. 60% of global large companies had been headquartered in the United States. And the rest of the 40% somewhere in Europe or in China or somewhere. And that IT organization controls the whole IT organization globally, implements uniform policies, is no longer possible. That is no longer possible because there are local standards and local rules, and local service providers are needed for that. Non-English users, another thing to remember, we generally assume that in information technology everybody speaks English. In reality, only 80% of global population speaks English. And if you go to countries like India, which is widely perceived to be English-speaking, only 194 million out of 1.3 billion people speak English. And in fact, we just recently decided we'll provide at least 3 languages in India: English, Tamil, and Hindu, because there is a lot of service providers, and especially technicians of the service providers, which are far from fluent in English. And then, of course, you have security and privacy considerations, which are very different between different regions. Every region wants to control its citizens and its businesses. Then smart digital devices. Reality is that today, people still have the skills, like here in Schaffhausen, this IWC, to make smart non-digital devices. Think about, there are some Swiss watches with about 400 parts, and the largest Swiss watch has 2,826 parts on your hand. Now, the reality is that the devices will become smart because people will simply lose the expertise of making smart non-digital devices. It will simply happen, even, though Chinese pretty much copy everybody in everything. For the watches, they buy parts from Swiss watchmakers. There is no expertise of making watches in China. Of course, there is expertise of making just about everything else in China. And so with that, all devices will become smart, and so everything around us will become smart. And that means we have all these interesting threats. So first of all, the killware, which is a term recently coined by one of the industry leaders, is basically attacking the devices which can then threaten human life. Like if you actually take a control of a smart car, you can hit the crowd and somebody will die. Then, of course, health devices. All of the health devices will become smart. Every single device which you see in the hospital will be connected to some kind of network, whether it's an intranet or it's even an internet. and will generate data and will make some decisions and will be able to do something and needs to be protected. Then, of course, you have industrial devices, hence, the movie with Bruce Willis, where there is an attack of industrial infrastructure. We are very dependent on industrial infrastructure. If there is no heat, no water, no electricity, it will be really difficult for us. If there is no light on the streets during the dark time of the day, it will be very difficult for us to live. And so again, security and privacy is a huge problem with these devices, and it's a different problem per se in the industry. Machine intelligence, it's all around us. This is 2 smart vacuum cleaners. Any of you have smart vacuum cleaners at home, right? Well, I have several, right? And it's important thing that this device, smart vacuum cleaner, it's actually having a camera. It knows everything about your home and potentially can learn your habits. It's a really dangerous device. You can sort of almost make a movie about the smart vacuum cleaners attacking humans. Right? And I don't have time. I can tell you, a funny story about vacuum cleaners and janitors and how important they are. So, this is the latest machine intelligence achievements. People have been disputing whether it's possible to make machine really intelligent. And I think over the past 3 years, very short time, over the past 3 years, we have learned that it's really possible. And every day, every week, there is something new happening. And the important consideration is that not only machine intelligence improved by humans, but machine intelligence is improving machine intelligence. And so that makes this evolution even much faster. You can use machine intelligence to make better machine intelligence. Of course, it's very useful to detect anomalies. It's also very useful to run the routine automation, replacing humans in some situations. And there is another consideration with machine intelligence. We are built-in immune systems and various protection systems as humans and as species to know what is dangerous, what is not dangerous, what is rational, what is not rational. Machine intelligence is very, very young. And so in a way, it is really easy to confuse it just by providing its own set of data. And so protecting machine intelligence will become a major problem in the near future. And also for all of you, using machine intelligence for your business, we are trying to use machine intelligence across everything we do, is actually, it's a key for our product development in the future. We believe at the end of the day, machine intelligence is going to extend humans, but it can potentially make humans 10 times or even more productive than today. And as a result, without consideration of it in your process, you simply are not going to stay competitive. Now, another thing which is very clear, my next focus is really Schaffhausen Institute of Technology, which I'm actually founded also here. We are partially in a temporary office of it. And as a part of it, I recruited Konstantin Novoselov, who is a Nobel Prize winner in graphene and very clever guy. He's actually just 48 years old and in very active research. And despite being just a Nobel Prize winner in physics, he's also very clever otherwise. And he recently gave me this phrase, which I think is very, very key. Last 10,000 years, there was a war for resources amongst humans. Land, different natural resources. Then last 100 years, there has been a war for technologies, right? So we are actually trying to protect our technologies, and we are trying to build better technologies. In the future, the war will be only for talents, for talented people who can control those complicated and super powerful technologies in the future. And that is something which you need to think. I mean, global IT market, there is a huge number of unfulfilled IT jobs. Just US IT market, there is huge number of open positions in cybersecurity. If you are a cybersecurity expert and if you are IT expert, there is no way you are unemployed if you even wanting to work. Then there is global competition. Nowadays, people can get hired from anywhere to anywhere. And so even in case you would have had people in a small village in the middle of the mountains in, I don't know, Austria or Germany or Switzerland, and this village seemed to be a place where people cannot find other jobs. Well, right now, as long as they're connected to internet, they can actually work anywhere in the world. And then not only, but the demands on these people are increasing because there is more devices, and devices are becoming it much more complex. And then finally, not only that, but because all of the different challenges in security and privacy, these IT people are potentially a threat. people are people. You know, if you think about security, any security of any company, I'm going to talk about this in the subsequent slides, can be penetrated through people. People are the sort of weakest part of the whole thing. Processes, technologies can be hardened. People will stay people. And so with that, I have this new role, Acronis Research. I'm building Acronis Research. I'm also building SIT. This is two actually correlating threats. I'm not going to talk about SIT here today, but it's a basically new generation science, technology, and education cluster with headquarters here in Schaffhausen. Just 10 minutes walk from here will be our first serious office, most likely. But what do I do in my role as a Chief Research Officer? I'm focused on this specifically 5 areas, which is medium to long-term future of Acronis. The first one is, of course, autonomous. Autonomous, making everything we do autonomous. The second one is providing security beyond cyber. We believe that physical, personal, and such other security is super important. The next one is global local. That is both going after the markets like Asia Pacific, Japan, Middle East and Africa, LATAM, but also it's just generally making our products ready for this global local problem, which is coming to us in the future, from the fragmentation of global economy, global internet, global data and IT space. Then, of course, it is usually perceived that Acronis provides solutions for service providers which are focused on small businesses. In reality, we sell 25% of our revenue at the end comes from the enterprise. And we see enterprise with our leading technology as a huge opportunity. And we're going to build up our enterprise product. It is important that we're going to go to enterprise together with you, with service providers. And finally, a small sort of boutique initiative. I really believe in order to build a strategy, medium-term, long-term strategy, we need to know the market. We need to know you guys much better. And we will actually provide this knowledge back to service providers. So with that, autonomous, this is something which I would rather prefer Candid to talk about. This is something actually coming to us in reasonably short-term future. Even in 2022, many of these things are shipping, even though I deleted the dates from here. But things like self-learning AI of workloads on the workload without going back to the internet. Digital antibodies, which we coined from this whole world obsession with pandemic. Preventive lockdowns, which is, again, something which is very familiar to everybody and something very necessary and something we can afford to do because we integrate security and backup, proactive backup and failover, and various future developments related to just extending IT personnel with machine intelligence, making it much more productive. Then, going beyond cyber, again, this is important to understand that physical security is very important. In fact, it is well-known thing in computer security that if you have a physical access of any device, you have the access of this device, you can penetrate it. There is no way to protect today classical digital device if it's in the hands of the person who wants to penetrate it. It might take time, but if you are perhaps superhuman, you might even do it in several seconds. So you have to protect facilities. It's very important to integrate protection of facilities with protection of devices. If you don't protect facilities but only protect devices, and somebody can come to a facility and access the device, this device eventually will be penetrable. Then personnel. You have to actually somehow make sure that the people who work for you, for your vendors, and more importantly for your customers, are observed. People are very difficult species. And so today they're good, tomorrow they're bad. Something can happen to them and they turn. You, of course, need to protect networks, and that's something we're missing today. And I can commit to you that over the next 5 years, possibly over the next 1-2 years, we will provide protection of the networks. And, of course, one special area of focus is IoT. Today, quite often, we have a network in the office which is protected, which is consisting of, at best, servers and mobile devices and desktops, but we connect many other things to this. We connect network devices, which are quite often not updated and not protected, and that's something which we will provide. But more importantly, we connect many smart devices. Like, I'm pretty sure both of these TVs are smart. Who protects them? Well, we have to trust the vendor, but the vendor is not actually even an IT company. It's some kind of a TV company which recently, through pain of the past 10 years, implemented some kind of a smart device in the TV, and implemented some kind of a system to update it. Then enterprise, this is just very quick in our strategy in the enterprise. We will have a different packaging and not just different pricing, not just a different product for enterprise. It is quite likely enterprise requires different focus on different scenarios. We are committed to go to enterprise with service providers, and one thing which I want to get from you is any of you who sell to larger customers, we want to make it easier for you. We will make it easier for you next year, the year after, and again, enterprise is a reasonably short-term initiative. Eventually, over the next 2 years, I will push it back to the core R&D of Acronis. Then, this is a start in geographies. I've shown this slide in United States, in Miami, and so I've sort of softened it. It started in DACH and Singapore, and then everywhere else, because you cannot tell to people in Miami that we're not actually going to do enterprise in US just yet. But here, I'm happy to say that the main focus for the enterprise strategy for the next 12 months is German-speaking Europe and Singapore, because it's the places where we have the strongest presence. And so please come to us, help us to sell to larger customers, help us to acquire larger customers with our products, especially with some selected workloads. Historically, we have always disregarded the analysts, because analysts not really focused on SMB and service providers. With enterprise, we will definitely go after Gartner Quadrant. If it will sell to you, it will help you with your marketing and sales. That will happen. And then, of course, features and integrations. We intend to have by factor of 10 or more integrations than anybody else in the industry when it comes to service providers. We are committed to be a platform vendor, so we intend to integrate with every complementary and competitive vendor who actually provides software to service providers. Our goal is to make you successful and customer workloads to be actually protected, and we believe integrations are necessary to make your people productive. The same relates to enterprise, and this is a different integrations. Then global local strategy, it is pretty clear that many of you will end up having data for many customers in different data centers, and that we have to provide a global management of data centers. We will provide geo-redundancy, so we will make it possible for you to move between data centers and to keep the data of customers into multiple data centers. We actually also quite important for us to provide control to local service providers and to create some way for service providers to work together on a large customers. Definitely, we are committed to provide local disaster recovery. This is super important. We are today in about 39 data centers. We intend to be in 300 data centers within next 24 months or 36 months. That means in almost every territory in the world, in almost every important part of the world, in almost always less than 50 milliseconds sort of hope, you have ability to disaster recover the customer where the customer is wanting to be. And also another thing, we believe disaster recovery is something which is necessary for every workload. And so we will provide the most competitive pricing for disaster recovery, and that will continue to be the case. Of course, disaster recovery is much more expensive for us. We will work on making optimized for us, but we want to make sure that you can attach it to every workload. Today, we already included disaster recovery with Cyber Protect standard some hours per year. Final part of what I do as a chief research officer is figuring out the strategy for the company, helping Patrick figuring out the strategy, and believe it is very important to know the market and to know the competition. And so we're launching this initiative where we want to learn everything about different types of service providers. I separate 5 types managed. Most of our partners are managed service providers, security service providers, managed security service providers, network service providers, which is telco and ISP, hosting service providers, which are primarily offering web hosting like GoDaddy, and cloud service providers, which is, in my opinion, glorified hosting companies, but nevertheless, they're a separate category, and they serve separately. Then, of course, service providers different by size, by number of partners, number of customers, number of workloads. They are actually very local. What we found is that we need to know about service providers in every country, in every language, and in every territory separately. We need to have information about the dynamics of this market, and we need to focus on those service providers which are already offering backup, disaster recovery, remote management, security, and hosting. This is the guys who will actively watch We will have this information. We're going to build internal analyst agency, which will constantly look at the market, and we will be happy to share some of that information with you as much as privacy and security would allow us. So with that, this is what I do, but I mean, I was also asked to talk about the future trends, and so, you know, here as a chief request officer, I can go a little bit crazier and talk about some longer term future. So I identify this sort of trends over the next 10 years, maybe a little longer, which are important threats and opportunities. So one of them is general intelligence. So general intelligence is intelligence which can replace humans in creative activities in some or many or every areas of human activities. Quantum technology, another very important area. You know, I was talking about quantum technology for about 10 years at different parallel summits. And, you know, today, I'm a happy shareholder of a company which is the first publicly listed quantum computing company, IonQ. I've just looked, and it's about $6 billion market cap. So it's $6 billion market cap. I actually invested in it at about $100 million pre-money, and most of people thought I'm crazy. And at that time, because of that, I only invested small amount. I really could have invested 3 times more. And then intelligent materials. Materials around us will become intelligence and will become not static. Then, of course, hybrid reality, which everybody talking about, metaverse, the reality which is combined from physical and virtual, and spreading actually virtual to physical, but also spreading physical to virtual in a way of rules, and life engineering. So first about general intelligence, just want to give you my view on how this is going to happen. So first of all, it's sensory augmentation, that basically we will get much better ability to see and to hear and to listen and to actually hear from remote places where we'll have we have these robots and generally intelligent machines. Then agility augmentation, again, we will build machines which would allow us to move better. Again, that is also part of general intelligence. These machines need to be smart. Then languages and emotions, understanding emotions much better. Machines are already better than us in sort of creating digital footprints of our emotions. We humans feel the emotions and we make our decisions based on the emotions, but quite often we cannot explain what we felt. We call it intuition and we call it empathy and ability to feel people. Then brain enhancements, you know, everybody's talking about it, but there is a lot of brain enhancement which can come both in the form of some things which we can insert in our brain, so it's literally much better to study by just inserting something and it's getting into the brain, right? And then also by just some understanding of how we feed our brains better. You have to appreciate this unique situation. Over the past 10,000 years, humans talk about healthy diets. And they really worried about only 2 things, which are completely, in my opinion, not important. One is about being strong and nice looking. Another one is about living a little bit longer with their bodies. But the most important part of your body is your brain. And we really can feed our brains much better. And we can treat our brains much better. And we can think about this much better. You will die when your brain will die, not when your body will die. And then, of course, again, machine-brain interfaces connecting us to these machines. It is a challenge that today we communicate with machines through a very funny way of typing things on the keyboard with our fingers. That's really, really very inefficient. Quantum technology. So again, not so much time about it, but quantum sensors. That is the smallest, most power efficient, most inexpensive sensors in the world, which can provide us with the ability to create these intelligent machines which have a lot of sensors. We, as humans, we have trillions of sensors on our body, literally trillions of sensors. If you go to most sophisticated piece of equipment today, like, I don't know, Boeing 787, it will have maybe, I don't know, 100,000 sensors. So it's very far from us, is an ability to feel in the environment. And for that, we need quantum sensors. Quantum communication, so it is happening already. Quantum communication is being deployed in many countries, and this is ultimately the only way to keep network fully secure. And this is not something which is a science dream. It is something which is already a technology here in Switzerland. There is this company called ID Quantique, which is multi-$10 million company, shipping production quality quantum technology, which is deployed by many governments and several large companies. Quantum computing, as I mentioned, IonQ, take a look. It's a public listed company. Everything they say about quantum computing is public. It's on New York Stock Exchange, I believe. Yeah, it's on New York Stock Exchange. It's almost $6 billion market cap. You know, and it's a real company. You will say, oh, this is a hype. You know, you will have all these companies like friends of mine launch a company called Arrival, which is shipping electric vehicle in 2023, right? So today it's not shipping anything. The market cap is $12 billion. This company actually has computers which are available from the cloud. It's already declared 16 million booking this year. It will do close to 100, well, from 60 to 100 next year. So it's a real business, and they're promising over $500 million in revenue in less than 5 years. Quantum machine intelligence, very interesting thing. So today, machine intelligence is relying on digital computers. With machine intelligence, is kind of a bit binary. If you have a bad machine intelligence on a bad computer, it can learn to play chess over, say, 100 days as an average chess player. If you have a good machine intelligence on a good computer, it can learn to play chess at much higher level than any human player over, say, period of 4 hours or 2 hours. Perhaps if you have quantum machine intelligence, you can make it learn to play chess also over 4 hours, but in such a way that it cannot be actually challenged by any digital computer. And so it's an important area to look, and of course quantum security, ultimately the only security which is sort of impenetrable to the extent of being impenetrable due to the laws of physics is a quantum security. Intelligent materials. Basically today, all of the materials we rely on, vast majority of them, 90% of the things we build, 95% is built on materials which are materials we inherited from future. For example, I can see all of you sitting on these tables and they're made from wood. Wood in a way is a smart material, but is built by nature. Today, we can already imagine that we basically build materials from components, sort of atom by atom, molecule by molecule, layer by layer. And so these materials can have functionality. They can actually behave to the extent, you know, instead of actually building a bridge, you will grow a bridge. And the bridge will self-repair. And you can sort of perhaps put some change to its bridge DNA, and the bridge will adjust to the circumstances which you need it accordingly to what happens. So the bridge can behave in such a way. This sounds like a dream, but it's not. It's really totally possible. And that's what active researchers are doing. That's actually what Kostya Novoselov is doing in National University of Singapore with his new group and with the assistance of us in Schaffhausen Institute of Technology. Hybrid reality, another important thing. So virtual reality, augmented reality, it's kind of important that there is a lot of books which are describing this sort of phase transition. And you know, the phase transition in this space happens when you just get a better quality of augmented reality and virtual reality glasses. Today, in my office, I have Oculus on my desk. It's just upstairs. And even in case you use Oculus, it's sort of good, but it's really not so good. It's really, the quality is bad, but it's going to improve at some point. And in the meantime, there is a huge number of efforts to build metaverse. Metaverses is the virtual universes. It also, all of these guys are building the enhanced perceptions techniques where you not only can see and hear what is happening in the augmented reality, but you can also smell and feel, you know, sense and taste what is happening in this augmented virtual reality. And it's important that this will modify the physical reality around us. Physical reality will be enhanced with virtual reality, but it's important that the virtual reality will stop being as free and as lawless as it is today. So it will also be somehow regulated. Life engineering, another important topic which personally concerns me a lot. This company, Acronis, took 8 years of my life away. Now I'm 50+ years old. And there is this book I highly recommend you to read. It's a book which is written by actually one of the leading scientists who is a professor of Harvard Medical School. And it's about how we age and why aging is a disease. The worst disease in the world today is in fact not wars and violence, and in fact not COVID, and in fact not you know, heart attacks, is aging. All of us are sick here. We're deeply sick and we're all going to die because we're aging. And this is a disease and it potentially can be cured. There is a lot of things which make it possible. Machine intelligence, allows to do better drug discovery, allows to make individual drugs for everybody. Applying multidisciplinary approach, almost every life sciences research today is about computers, it's about machine intelligence, it's about physics, about chemistry, not just about biology and medicine. Cellular engineering, basically not only individualizing it to you, but individualizing it to different cells in your body, again, individual healthcare, and that all will allow to slow aging down. I believe in 50 years, people will have 150 years productive lifetime and will live up to 200. It is just science and it's just engineering. Unfortunately, because of the way the world is organized, it's happening quite slow. So many of us here will not benefit from it, but it's also a huge industry to look at and huge industry to serve. All of this at the end of the day is done by computers. So yeah, so future is different and diverse, and I was thinking, why did I present this trends, and sort of like thinking, what should I give you as a message? And so several things came up. So one of them, perhaps you should short Bitcoin, right? So all Bitcoin is going to be completely decryptable by quantum computers. Quantum computers will actually make Bitcoin irrelevant. Why, by the way, just understand, not blockchain. And you can, of course, change algorithms. But Bitcoin is already a large community. Re-encrypting all the Bitcoin is reasonably impossible. So the people will move from Bitcoin to some other coin, which will be based on quantum-safe algorithms. How many of you have Bitcoin here? I have Bitcoin, a little bit. It was a gift. OK, so then become gardeners, because you're going to grow IT networks, right? So instead of, because of the smart materials, you just sort of like figure out how to grow it and how to maintain it. It's a little bit different from managing IT infrastructure. Book a space in hybrid reality. Hybrid reality will not be free. We are one of the advisors of our company. We are very proud to say that it's Marcus Gross, who is actually a head of Disney Research. Disney Research is a research organization which effectively invented all the special effects which made Avatar possible, many of the movies of Disney possible. And you know, he told me the big challenge today is that there is people who run copyrights in a hybrid reality, because like, who owns the virtual image of Schaffhausen? It's like in Schaffhausen, virtual Schaffhausen, fully digitized. How much do you own if you own that? And how much do you need to modify it for it not to be Schaffhausen? These are all open questions, and so book a space in virtual reality. Get ready for 100-year-old IT professionals. So we've, at some point when I came to run Acronis, I always had this horrible sort of discussions with my investors. They said, look, you've run a survey about your users, and your users on the average are 52 years old. They're going to die soon. And I said, no, hold on. First of all, 52 years old, they're not dying soon, right? I mean, in most countries, they live for another 30 years. And second of all, that's not true, because they're going to live to 150, right? So get ready to employ those people. But seriously, try to consider employing all the people. And finally, there is no need to hire replacement CEOs, right? So the CEOs can be replaced by artificial intelligence. And I've shown this to Patrick, and he specifically said, no, this is not correct. You cannot show the slide. You should say augmented by machine intelligence. So it will be Patrick, which will look approximately like that, who will replace the founder and CEO, right? On a serious note, I think there is just 5 things for you to think about. So these things are very, very basic. So one of them, do look at using Acronis Cyber Platform. Develop extensions of the platform. Tell us what we need to integrate on. Tell us how to make APIs better. At the end of the day, the main opportunity is to consolidate this whole completely fragmented space of data protection, security, remote management, system management in general, through providing a platform. And that means there will be a lot of vendors and a lot of extensions. Learn with Acronis Academy. We're going to put more and more courses in better and better format. Give us feedback. Learn with it. Certify your people. At the end of the day, it's all done by your people. If they are trained and certified, they can do it better. Sell advanced packs. Advanced packs will make your customers more protected, will give you more revenue, will make your customers more sticky. It also will make you more productive. Increase your CyberFit score. This is a pretty straightforward thing. All of the before actually relates to your CyberFit score. And finally, let's sell together to enterprise. Come to me and help me to sell to enterprise. And with that, I pass it back to Patrick. Thank you.
Thank you, Sergey, and I feel very augmented already. No, I'm done. I would like to thank our sponsors on the next page. Just click, one click. Yeah, perfect, thank you. I just wanted to thank our sponsors for making this session and the whole day possible. So thank you, everyone. Thanks for being our sponsor, and I hope you will have a lot of very productive, very rewarding, and very exciting discussions over the next hours to come. With that, I would like to hand back to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Patrick. Thank you, gentlemen. Patrick, Sergey, Candid, Rick, for those insights. Now, guys, doesn't mean that it's break time just yet. Lunch is around the corner in just a few minutes. But before we send you off to eat and network, I'd actually like to welcome Rick back to the stage. Rick, please, who's going to give us a quick look ahead at the exciting new products and integrations coming ahead for Acronis in 2022.
Appreciate it. Isn't it exciting listening to Sergey Billusov, wide and deep view in the future? We also have a number of things that we're doing that probably a little bit closer to home where we are today. We're very concrete on the roadmap for Acronis for 2022. I hope that you love it even more than the stuff that we've done over the last year. So just to quickly reiterate, single product, which will build even more scenarios, cyber protection scenarios into. Workloads will grow from 30 types to over 100 workloads. Complete cyber protection, unifying all of the interfaces, providing even more efficiencies, productivity, more integrations outbound into the tools you use, and more integrations inbound into our extensible platform to extend its value. I've also told you that we've created a single product, Acronis Cyber Protect Cloud. We've aligned the licensing. And I'm happy to announce, and I'll talk about that in a minute, that we'll be adding 2 more advanced packs in the short term. DLP and data loss prevention and endpoint detection and response. So let's talk, before we get into those workloads and scenarios, let's talk a little bit about the unification of the interfaces really that you work with when you work with Acronis. We have a single console where you get to manage all of your services, service portal, and all of your customers in one place. To deploy agents, one agent, to every workload, applying a single cyber protection policy that covers all of the protection scenarios that you need, right? It's like, hey, I want to have a certain backup with certain retention, I want to have certain security, so many scans, I want to deploy patches, all of those things all deployed into that single agent through that single policy. But then there's also other interfaces that you use when you work with Acronis. There's a partner portal where you have your deal registration, for instance. There is a support center where you go to log to tickets and follow them. And there's also, your marketing center where you can request MDF, where you can find all the deliverables for your campaigns. And those are different panes of glass. Those are different tools, if you will. What we're doing is we're unifying all of that into the single platform to make it even more efficient for you to use Acronis and deliver cyber protection value to your customers. We've added a lot of workloads, and we're adding a lot more. A great example that I wanted to give you is scale computing. Scale computing with the integration and the support for scale computing, on top of already the support we deliver for VMware, Hyper-V, and many other hypervisors, we can confidently say that we now cover more than 85% of the virtualization environments that you use today. So you can basically rest assured that Acronis will fit whatever your customer is using. As mentioned before, we've also added new workloads such as MariaDB, vCloud, or VMware Cloud Director. But we're not going to stop there. In the next year, we're going to have a specific focus on public cloud, and within public cloud, a most specific focus on Microsoft Azure, enabling also agentless protection of Microsoft Azure VMs, providing the ability to store data directly into your Azure Block Blob. And not just Azure, but also AWS S3. Providing an ability to not just recover your workloads into our cyber data centers, into the Acronis cloud, but also use Azure as an alternative to that if that's what you need or that's what your customer wants. Outside of the public cloud, with our hosting providers, which is a significant amount of our market, we'll also listen to the requests there by adding email archiving, for instance, or the backup of Open Exchange. And in addition to that, we'll also be supporting, and you've heard Sergey say it, workloads that are used more and more in the enterprise level, such as Salesforce. Our Salesforce protection will include backup, of course. It will also include malware protection and URL filtering. So again, complete cyber protection for an enterprise SaaS workload. A lot of your customers might also use SAP HANA. Today, we offer you scripted data protection methodologies. But into the next year, we'll offer you fully SAP certified protection for your HANA databases. Let's take a quick step back where we came from and where we're going next with respect to our advanced packs. We started initially, as all of you know, with data protection, backup, including disaster recovery, and a little bit later, file sync and share. Then Sergey pushed the company into a new direction for cyber protection, adding management, security, and email security over time, and email security in the last year. The next step in this process is to add the data loss prevention, add endpoint detection and response, and also add advanced protection of service providers themselves in the light of supply chain attacks. Again, supply chain is a really important thing to consider when it comes to protection. So let's start with Acronis endpoint detection and response. Now, this is hard. It simply is. Your SMB customers will not have the ability to manage this themselves. They will look to you. But that means that you also need to learn advanced skills or use the right tools. If you do not develop this and use the right tools, then you basically have to move to MDR, Managed Detection and Response, and basically pay another service provider twice the amount that you'd pay for software to deliver those services to your customers on your behalf. So at Acronis, we've developed advanced endpoint detection and response to be very service provider friendly, to be more easy to use, and still offer the breadth of capabilities that you need to protect your customers in all the required scenarios. Next, we've provided advanced, or we will provide advanced data loss prevention. 90% of customers report that they have a concern about insider threats. And they are right. Over half have already reported data losses from the inside. Could be intentional or malicious, but also accidental. Actually, the half that have reported it is not even a good reflection of how often it happens. In 73% of cases, actual data has been lost for all the reasons there. So at Acronis, we've built, again, a solution that is highly service provider friendly, that is much more easy to implement across all of your customers, that automates the process of setting, for instance, baseline policies for you, and then still offers you the ability to customize your parameters for your specific customer needs. We continue on the global local path. We already have 38 data centers, and we're looking to add 30, potentially more, in the next year and beyond. And with that, we're not just looking at the places that you would normally look in the West, for instance, but we're also specifically looking at areas such as Africa, adding data centers in South Africa and Nigeria. We're looking at Latin America, adding data centers in Mexico, Colombia, and Argentina. We're looking at Asia, adding data centers in China and Taiwan, as well as the Philippines. And of course, we're still expanding also in European countries like Belgium, or also in the Middle East like the UAE. So that you always have not just data sovereignty, but also have the data center close to you. We're continuing on the path of efficiencies. I've already told you that we implemented auto agent updates and made it easy to switch between customers, that we're going to remove the need to even switch between tenants on a number of cases. And we're also enabling you to register workloads using your partner account. Because let's face it, as service providers, you are effectively the IT department for most of your SMB customers. So why does there have to be a customer administrator? Those might not even formally exist. We're going to make it easier for you to do URL branding. We already simplified it through the management console, but we'll do that even more. And from then on, it's also no longer required to purchase an SSL certificate. And as mentioned before, we'll be integrating our support portal into the product itself. Then let's talk about integrations. I am humbled to lead the team in Acronis that builds our outbound integrations in tools such as remote monitoring and management. Critical to be able to deploy, using the mechanisms that you already have in your RMM, the Acronis agent to your customer devices. Then to monitor these, your cyber protection, to perform tasks, sometimes automatically based on events that you monitor. And if you use ticketing within your RMM, to synchronize alerts to tickets. This is also a popular use case in professional services automation, where you can map your tenant accounts, automatically create accounts that exist in your PSA, which is your central ERP-like system, and then go and create those tenants as you sell cyber protection based on Acronis, and create those tenants in the Acronis management console. Then provision the service plans that you made available to those customers. Again, map alerts to tickets. And very important, map the usage, the actual usage, against the contracts to automate the process of billing. I can't even tell you how many service providers across my career have told me that they spend at least the last week of any given month billing. That's not how you want to spend your time. Very similar in that respect is also cloud service automation, where you can add very easily our products into the service catalog. This is often used by somewhat larger service providers, hosting providers, and of course a lot of distributors that are also here today, allowing them to provision accounts for partners, or partners to provision accounts for customers, including self-service management, reporting, and billing. Yes, we've done a lot of integrations prior to this year. We've done many more across this year, covering most of the products that you use today. We're going to do even more going into next year, but we also specifically invite ISVs out there to integrate into Acronis, or build those integrations themselves. A lot of our partners, I've got a couple of examples here, have actually built the integration with Acronis themselves. That's right, grab your telephone, quickly make a snap of the QR code so that you can go and request whichever integration you are missing today and you want us to go and build. I have myself prioritized already the development of integrations based on what people have told us through that form. So that's a true commitment to you. As mentioned, it's not just about integrating into other tools, it's also integrating into our tools. For SPs and MSPs that want to extend the value of the Acronis platform and build on top of that, we're making things a lot easier. We're introducing the Acronis development standard with Acronis Developer Portal and Acronis Vendor Portal. But it really speaks for itself when you see the results. So we've been talking about advanced email security a couple of times. Guess what? Advanced email security in Acronis was built into Acronis by our partner, by Perception Point. And like that, many more solutions can be built into Acronis, such as OmniVoice, Avoid PBX, also built for service providers. So if you have ideas about what you want us to build into Acronis to extend the value of the platform and do even more for you, scan the code again. A quick summary, dozens of new features coming in 2022. We will listen to all of your feedback. You are at the center of our prioritization, if you will. And if you want to make suggestions, if you have questions, just go and send an email to pm@acronis.com, and we'll make sure that these requests are being captured. Thank you so much. Appreciate your time. Take a demo.
All right, I'll take that. Rick, thank you. Thank you very, very much. All right, we still have a full program for you after lunch, but so we've got keynotes, breakout sessions, panels, workshops, lots of opportunities to network with everybody here today. You'll hear from Acronis leadership and some of our most successful partners. So wait just a second there, buddy. As promised, lunch is coming. It's coming. But before I let you go, just a quick reminder that afterwards we're going to go straight to the breakout sessions, which are divided into two groups. If you recall, we're going to have MSP business issues in the second hall, MSP technology issues in this main hall. Feel free to jump between them wherever you find value. You can be there. Speaking of which, of course, connect with your colleagues here, exhibitors throughout the expo area. And of course, we invite you to stick around for the rest of the day, the award ceremony, tonight's closing reception, dinner, etc. A special thank you to our sponsors, who we all will Jamf, ThreatLocker, Axia, Open Exchange. There we go. R&D Roush and Virtuoso. And finally, thank you to everyone who's been watching us via the live stream. Again, such a bummer that you couldn't be with us physically in the building, but we look forward to having you join us the next time. All right, now you may go to lunch. We'll see you back here at 1:15 or in the other room where Jeff Hardy will be guiding us through the afternoon sessions and MSP business track. Thank you very much for your attention. Ngueta.